Joe Thornton, Duncan Keith, and Zdeno Chára have all been elected to the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame class in their first year of eligibility. Thornton amassed over 1,500 points in a career that included a Hart Trophy and an Art Ross in 2006. He was also a member of Canada's gold medal winning squad in 2010.
Hey, Joe, I just wanted to let you know that we're really excited to welcome you into the Hockey Hall of Fame. You were voted in today by the committee.
Holy doodle.
It's always great to have another Sioux Greyhound in there.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I'm shaking. Thanks, boys. Holy moly.
What a great reaction. Duncan Keith, what a career. 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic golds, 2 Norris trophies, the Conn Smythe in 2015. Zdeno Chára's 1,680 games played, or the most by a defenseman all time. 2009 Norris winner. Helped lead the Bruins to their first cup in 39 years back in 2011. And Alexander Mogilny has been waiting for the call since 2009, averaged a point a game in his career. He's a member of the exclusive Triple Gold Club and was also a pioneer internationally, the first Soviet Union player to defect and play in the NHL.
I was wondering if you still had that good bottle of red wine I bought you in Toronto at the end of my career, because I was thinking you might want to open that up since you were inducted.
Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a little too early, but I'll think about it.
3-time Olympic gold medalist Jennifer Botterill also getting the call. 174 points in 184 games with Canada's women's team. Brianna Decker joins Botterill on the women's side. Decker won 7 gold medals in her career with the U.S. team, including Olympic gold in 2018. There are 6 players. There are 2 builders. The builders, Jack Parker, who won 3 NCAA titles, and Danielle Sauvageau, who is a 7-time Olympian and current GM of the Montreal Victoire. First-year eligible players who could get the call to the Hall in 2026 include Patrice Bergeron, Eric Stahl, and Mr. Philip Kessel. For more reaction on the class of 2025, here is our Director of Scouting, Craig Button. This is fun, right? You love a day like this.
Oh, it's wonderful because you're looking at a team sport where we're recognizing individual accomplishments and excellence. And certainly all the 8 inductees on 2025 exemplify that in every which way.
Let's begin with Joe Thornton,
Yeah.
An absolute lock. What a career.
Yeah, you're right, an absolute lock. What a great career. And you watch how Joe played the game, and he made everybody better around him. I mean, a lot of times they said, Joe, shoot more. But he was a great passer. He was a great setup guy. I think there's so many things to love about Joe Thornton. Outside of his great skill, he also had great joy playing the game.
Absolutely.
And I think for every young player, don't ever forget that the game should be fun and you should have joy playing it. And certainly Joe Thornton did both of those things at a high level.
And his reaction says it all, right? Yeah. It's just such a real reaction.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I think it's important to say now, you know, players don't grow up saying, I want to be part of the Hall of Fame. They say, I want to be part of a championship team. I want to help win a gold medal. I want to win a Stanley Cup. I want to be part of whatever the highest level is.
Yeah.
They don't say, I want to be a Hall of Famer. And so when the call does come, it really is special to say you are being recognized for being one of the most outstanding players in playing the sport of hockey. So I think that that's wonderful. Or an outstanding builder. I think it's wonderful.
The other 2 first balloters, again, absolute locks and 2 of the best defensemen to ever play the game, but very different defensemen in Duncan Keith and Zdeno Chára.
Yeah, there's no question. And you start with Duncan Keith. He was fierce. Oh. I mean, he was a great defenseman, but he was fierce. Whatever it took, Duncan Keith was prepared to do that. And I say it often that winning is not easy, because if it was, everybody would do it. And Duncan Keith exemplified that. It didn't matter how hard the game was. It didn't matter how great the challenge was. Duncan Keith was up to it. And he was phenomenal. And very different than Zdeno Chára. Zdeno Chára had this imposing figure. Obviously, when you're 7'11" on skates, I mean, you think about the reach that he had. He could stand in his own blue line and take away a play at the red line. I mean, the span, the wingspan. But he was an imposing figure because whatever was required, like Zdeno could jump into the attack, he could shoot the puck, he could pass the puck, he could contribute on the power play. But he was nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were both nasty in different ways. And when you think about how they contributed to their team's success, they were instrumental. Obviously, I don't think Boston wins without Chára.
Yeah.
I don't think Chicago wins without Keith.
And after a lengthy wait, Alexander Mogilny is in the Hall. This is a player that a lot of people question why it took so long for him to get into the Hall. Did you feel the same way? Are you surprised it took him this long?
One of the things that I've always said about players that have had a longer wait to get into the Hall of Fame, once you get the call that you're in the Hall of Fame, you're not any less of a Hall of Famer because it took a little bit of time. And Alexander Mogilny, to me, has been a Hall of Famer. And today he got the call. I mean, 3 a.m. his time. And he wasn't going to drink the wine that Ron Francis had bought him when they were playing together in Toronto. But I believe that Alex was a tremendous player. He's part of the Triple Gold Club. Those are the accomplishments. I don't think he got enough credit for being a really good two-way player. We know he could score. We know he was electrifying. If you think back to Alex, too, he got on a train in the far eastern part of the former Soviet Union and traveled 5,000 miles to go to the Red Army to play when he was 14 years of age. And then he became the first effective player. He literally was a pioneer. He was a leader in so many different ways. And when he came to the NHL, it was a very different NHL. The Europeans were not welcomed with open arms. And he served notice from day one that he was going to have to be reckoned with, fully deserving. I'm happy that he finally got the call. Now, I push for Mike Vernon publicly. I push for Jeremy Roenick. I push for Alex Mogilny. Now, Keith Tkachuk, I'm still going to push for you. Don't worry. You're going to be a Hall of Famer one day as well.
I was not surprised, but I was intrigued at how many people were upset about Keith Tkachuk today. Maybe it was because of the Mogilny thing. He had been waiting so long, and I think maybe people draw that same parallel with Keith Tkachuk.
A fair parallel, but much like Alex Mogilny, just the other players that I mentioned, Roenick and Vernon, I think that when your time comes, you're going to be just as thrilled that you got the call to be in the Hall of Fame, and I have no doubt in my mind that Keith Tkachuk will be there. I'll stump for you, Keith. Don't worry, I'm not stopping now. I'm not stopping.
We'll both stump for you, Wilbur. Okay, on the women's side, you've got Brianna Decker and then Jen Botterill, who's doing great work on TV and just an incredible player for Team Canada over the years. Can you put into words the impact that Jen had on Canadian women's hockey in this country?
You know, Jen goes in as a player, and she was a tremendous player. One of the things that I think stood out to me with Jen Botterill was she was a difference maker. And when a difference maker was required, Jen Botterill had her hand up, ready to go to the front of the line and deliver. A lot of people might put up their hand, but can they deliver? Jen delivered. She was tremendous. I think it's very interesting that you talk about how she was somebody that led the way, that showed the way for female hockey players. She's in as a player. There could be a day where you could make a case for her to go in as a builder, and certainly you could start to make a case for her to go in as a broadcaster.
Sure, yeah.
It could be a different type of hat trick, but Jen Botterill was tremendous. And, you know, you have to be nominated to get into the Hall of Fame. She's had somewhat of a wait to get into the Hall of Fame, and her time came on this day, and I think it's just wonderful for Jen Botterill to be recognized. And in a similar vein, Brianna Decker was every bit the trailblazer as Jen Botterill. And you think about what Brianna did, you know, internationally, Olympic gold, World Championship gold, and she was a difference maker as well. She was a different type of player than Jen. Brianna Decker reminded me a lot of Patrice Bergeron. She could play the game any way you wanted. She could contribute offensively. She could contribute defensively. And she was wired to win as well. Her and Jen going in together, they were competitors.
Yeah.
So now they go in together into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think it's really special to see that happen.
It is great, and congratulations to both of them. Now, we talked about snubs, and maybe the big name of the day, the name everyone's talking about is Carey Price. Does not go in on his first year of eligibility. Our friend Jamie Noodles McLennan, very upset about that. Understandably, he's part of the goalie fraternity. But where do you stand on this one for Carey Price?
Yeah, I was asked if I was surprised. I said yes and no. I could understand that you're going through a lot of different candidates, and you know you need 14 votes to get in. And I'm not saying that he's not worthy of the 14 votes, but you get to a point where you go, okay, Alex is going in. I listened to Jamie today on Overdrive, and he talked about why now? Why not? Well, you know, why not Carey Price to go in and Alexander Mogilny goes the next year? I don't think that it has to be that way.
Right.
Like I think we look at first-time eligibility and go, why is he not in there? But he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
For sure.
There's no question he's a Hall of Fame player. I don't think, I'm not going to speak for any player to say they're not disappointed if they don't get the call, but I think for Carey Price, you know, the time to wait to get into the Hall of Fame will be very short for you. But so I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, not.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Monday, November the 10th. And Craig will be back on tomorrow's show where we get to talk about your final mock draft before the draft on Friday. Maybe my favorite appearance that you make on the show all year. I'm absolutely stoked about it. And did you see Matthew Schaefer with James Duthie on our show yesterday?
I was there.
What a terrific young guy.
I got to tell you.
What a terrific person.
I got to tell you a funny story. Yeah, he is terrific. And his father, Todd, is a terrific person. Great family. His mother, Jenny, passed away in the winter of 2024. And
yeah.
But you know, Steve Dryden, our wonderful Steve Dryden,
yep.
was asking Matthew a lot of like, what did teams ask you at the draft? What were they? You know, what kind of questions? Steve was trying to drill down to hear what teams might be asking, and you know what Matthew was answering, and then his father Todd said, he goes, you know, they were asking about his collarbone. He goes, and I finally said, he goes, you should be asking about his eyesight. He ran into that goalpost at the World Junior. He said the net hasn't moved in 80 years. Great sense of humor from the father. You know, you watch a wonderful young person like Matthew, and you see very clearly he's had great parenting. But it's a lot of fun, and you know, now that I know that the night of the mock draft is your favorite time to have me on,
wait.
I'm not coming on any other time now. I'll just save it for one time a year.
Like Christmas, Santa's coming, and Santa's name is Craig.